Well, this is a great event. I'm so pleased to be a part of this and actually feel privileged that me and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas can play a role here. And so given the nature of the event and the place where we're standing, by the way, if you go look somewhere, I think up over here, you'll see a tribute to Bobby Morrow. I'm just saying. You'll see a tribute to Bobby Morrow. Some of you might remember as a famous track star, right? Well, I would be about Bobby Morrow's son's age if he had one, but I'm not him. So I just want to clear that up right now. In any event, being where we are, I thought it might be, I guess, apropos for me to talk a little bit about history. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit about history and John Ben Shepherd. So it's 1929, and John Ben Shepherd is in his East Texas hometown of Gladewater. He's already developing the characteristics that will make him a paragon of Texas leadership. At only 15 years of age at this time, John Ben and his fellow East Texans are feeling a bit apprehensive about the future due to the great stock market crash that had happened just a few months earlier and its resulting Great Depression that ravaged the country for the better part of a decade. On top of that, it's cold. It's really cold. It's historically cold in December of 1929. At the same time, just a few hours west in Dallas, another East Texan is laying the foundation for a path that would play a major part in Shepherd's future. Justin Ford Kimball. Justin Ford Kimball, then Vice President of Baylor Health System, is looking at the financial books for the hospital during that cold, desperate winter and noticed something particularly troubling. Now, Justin Ford Kimball had for most of his career been an educator. And he had actually served 10 years prior to coming on board with Baylor Hospital as a superintendent of the Dallas Independent School District. So that desperately cold winter, looking at the financial books of the hospital, he noted that the hospital was experiencing a high degree of bad debt. But what was alarming to Mr. Kimball was he recognized a number of the people that owed the hospital money, because they were fellow educators. He recognized them from his years as superintendent of the hospital. And furthermore, further investigation showed they were actually mostly school teachers, and he determined that they owed the hospital money due to the hospital costs associated with childbirth. Now, I'm a family doc, and I can tell you that medicine's changed a lot just in the last 5 years. It's certainly changed a lot since that cold winter in 29. Well, at that time, it was typical for ladies after childbirth to have a laying-in period in the hospital, often for days, which could, of course, result in a high hospital bill. So Justin had an idea. He took the idea to the school board and the hospital board, and they basically bought off on his plan. And his plan was that for, yes, I'm going to say it, 50 cents a month, the school teachers could buy into a program that would get them 21 days of hospitalization. Well, times have changed since that winter in 29, but that plan would eventually become what was known as the Blue Cross movement, in the first instance of coordinated health insurance in the country. So, all health insurance as we know it started with Justin Ford Kimball and school teachers in Dallas, Texas during that cold winter. So 10 years afterwards, Justin Ford Kimball developed his plan. The Texas legislature passed a bill right here in Austin that established nonprofit organizations for the purpose of providing hospital services. And to this day, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas is a mutual reserve company, meaning we are owned by our members, not by Wall Street, which we like to say means we report to Main Street, not to Wall Street. And after starting in that cold winter in 29 and going into the 50s, there were a number of sort of innovative firsts that happened at that time. In the 50s, individual coverage was actually introduced. When polio hit Texas particularly hard in the 50s, a special provision was introduced to cover catastrophic illnesses. Actually, this Texas plan was the first to offer cancer coverage anywhere in the world. During the 50s, we reached 1 million members. And we're the first plan to use, believe it or not, a modern computer at the time, enabling us to track information like never before. So it's these kinds of innovations that drove the company motto to be modern as tomorrow, which I actually believe would serve us well today. So as the company continued to grow and evolve, the path laid by Justin Ford Kimball during that cold winter eventually converged with another Texas Titan, John Ben Shepherd, who were here with his institute. So as probably you've all done your homework, but I'm going to reiterate it for you. John Ben Shepherd graduated from UT, Texas right here in 1938, and then received his law degree in 41 and started his legal career in Longview. In 1944, he enlisted in the U.S. Army as a private and was discharged as a second lieutenant in 1946. In 1950, at the age of 34, so I'm feeling, like I probably should have been doing more, Shepherd was appointed Texas Secretary of State by then Governor Allen Shivers. In 1952, he was elected to a 2-year term as Attorney General, and then in 54 was overwhelmingly reelected. So he then, I think many in this room would say, saw the light, and he moved to Odessa in 1957. And there he was a leader of the effort to establish and maintain the University of Texas Permian Basin, culminating with the enrollment of their first 1,000 students in 1973. Did I get that right? Okay. Yeah, I'm always worried when I say, anything like, when I put out stats, because I never want facts to get in the way of a good story, and sometimes that happens. Okay, thank you. So, already established as a stalwart figure in Texas leadership, John Ben Shepherd then joined the board of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas in the 1970s during a time of great change in healthcare. I would suggest we're still in a time of great change and challenge in healthcare. So from new technologies to expanded programs and ever-increasing competition, Shepherd applied the same leadership qualities to Blue Cross that he did in the courtroom, in the oil field, and in statewide office. He served on the board until his death, yet again representing his unwavering commitment to improving the lives of Texans. And his legacy lives on. Shepherd's example modeled the way for Blue Cross and Blue Shield to continue into the future. So much more recently, with the Affordable Care Act, we're the only insurer to offer coverage on the health insurance marketplace in all 254 counties in Texas. By the way, I am a native Texan, born and raised in Houston, or actually born in Houston, raised just outside of Houston. It's a big place. So all 254 counties is a daunting task. We've also partnered with the Texas Medical Association around the formation of what's called TMA Practice Edge, which is an entity formed to provide primarily primary care docs in private practice with the resources they need to effectively provide high quality, cost effective, value-based care. We also partner with the Caring Foundation of Texas to provide immunizations and other services to more than 50,000 children every year. And we've come full circle. We've recently opened what we call our C1 Innovation Lab in Dallas, in the East End, C1 for Customer First. So just down the street from where Justin Ford Kimball developed a plan that would become health insurance as we know it, we now have an innovative makerspace. After 90 years, we remain the only statewide customer-owned health insurer in Texas and the larger provider of health benefits in the state. We work with nearly 80,000 physicians and other healthcare providers, 500 hospitals serving more than 5 million members, as I said, in all 254 counties. And it all started with teachers, which I think is pretty cool. So we've been through a lot over the last 90 years. I think We've come through quite a few challenges. I would suggest we have lots of challenges in front of us, so I hope some of the young leaders in this room might take an interest in helping us solve some of those challenges, because I'm getting a little older, and so I'm gonna need health care probably a little bit more. So I really would like you guys to keep developing a better system for us. So, but it's the character, conviction, and commitment of leaders like John Ben Shepherd that has allowed us to keep our vision squarely focused on our mission, which is to do everything in our power to stand with our members in sickness and in health. Thank y'all very much, and I appreciate what you're doing.